Om Sadashivasamārambhām Vyāsaśaṅkaramadhyamām Asmatacārya-paryantām Vande Guruparamparaṁ Śrutismritipurāṇānaṁ Ālayam Karuణālayam Namāmi Bhagavadpādam Śaṅkaram Lokashaṅkaram Śaṅkaram Śaṅkarācāryam Keṣavam Bādarayanam Sutrabhāśakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Chaitanyam Sarvagam Sarvam Sarvabhuta Guhashayam Yat Sarva Vishayatitam Tasmai Sarva Vidhe Namaha. So this, we come to the conclusion of chapter 9, almost. Chapter 9 is also called as Sukshmata Vyapita Prakaranam. So in the previous chapter, we had a discussion on Mati Vilapana Prakaranam, the dialogue between the Atma and the Buddhi. In this one, it is to reconfirm or re-establish the fact that Atma is free from all sorts of objects. It is free from form, free from color. So just like any other text, the first line, first verse introduces that particular topic. So Sukshmata Vyapite Gneye Gandaha Uttarottamam. Gandaha Adi Uttarottamam. Means this subtleness and pervasiveness of this particular Atma is to be understood, and it is free from Gandaha, free from any smell.
Which contact should I call?
I'll shut this off. This is another, unwarranted thing. So starting from the earth, all those things one by one, we have to remove them, and then finally come to Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasaha, Gandhaha. It is free from all of them. That's what we have seen so far. The last verse is only a confirmation of what it is. So this we already seen most of them, but we'll go through this. Rupatvaadya Satvana Drishyade Karmata Yatha Evam Vijnana Karmatvam Bhuno Nasti Gamyate. So Rupatvadi Asatvatvad. So Rupatvadi Asatvatvad. So Asat means what, that which is free. Asat means that which is not the truth. Rupatvadi Asatvad, which is free or devoid of all qualities, such as form. Rupaha, Rupatvadi, Adi means what, etc. So he is saying that you add many things. Sparsha, Rupa, Gandha, all these things. So just as Yatha, Rupatvadi Asatvat, Na Drishyade Karmata. So Drishyam means seen, an object. And Karmata means not an act. You cannot take it as an action. You cannot take it also as an object. So you cannot perceive this Atma. You cannot claim that you know the Atma, and you cannot say that I know the Atma also. So that's what it says here. Na Drishyadi Karmataha. Means it cannot be made an object of action. You can never objectify the Atma. So this is one of the Nididhyasanam exercise. Like Nididhyasanam, what it do, people don't talk about it. Like Nididhyasanam is only for one adhyanam. See, when you are starting to see studying first time, Shravanam happens. Listening is constantly going on at that time. So when you're listening at that time, there are lots of doubts being created because doubt will come. It's natural. First time you're listening and prior listening also is there. Then Maranam again repeated listening. So filtration happens and doubts are reduced. It's like a funnel. So you put everything in an inverted funnel and then it comes down to narrow things. So finally you're left with a few things which are habitual errors or those errors which are something which we make because we are not that trained in that. So the Nididhyasanam here is prescribed here to reiterating the person to say that after you understood Shravanam what it is, Maranam what it is, and you understood Brahma Tattvam, you cannot drop it nor increase it further. So you cannot say that my knowledge is going to increase further or the Atma is going to get bigger or something else will be unfolded later. So from now onwards, all the subsequent topics are either for Nididhyasanam or reinforcing. Like in the Viveka Chudamani also, the first few chapters are all actually about Shravanam and Maranam. Nididhyasanam is only for the person who has already attained Brahmagyanam or attained some level of maturity. So this particular verse is reinforcing the view that the Drishyadi Karmataha. This cannot be, you can never make an object of knowledge. You can never ever say that I know Brahman. In fact, somebody comes and talks to you, said, how do you know Brahman? He says, Brahman cannot be known because it is an object of knowledge. That should be the answer. But you see, Brahman is, I know Brahman. It is like this. It is given as an example for arriving at the truth. After arriving at the truth, you must drop those things. All the names are not required anymore. Till you have a degree, right? You need to have a degree, you have to study. After having a degree, etc., you cannot be, having all sorts of titles, etc., what you learn. So what do? You only keep what is relevant for that particular knowledge. The remaining ones, you leave it off. You don't claim that you know all of them. You know the essence of it. The Saraha is already known to you. So iti gamyate. So iti gamyate means it is understood. Evam vijnana karmatvam bhumno nasti. Similarly, bhumnaha here means infinite. Bhumnaha means infinite. Similarly, what it says here, the objectification of the infinite is not possible. So here Bhumnaha and Atma, they are same because infinite is Atma. And why this author uses Bhumna? Because in the Chandogya Upanishad, there is a word called Bhumnaha. So another name for Atma, like Chaitanya Sarupam, Bhumna, Atma, all of them are same. So one must not say Bhumna means a different name. Bhumna also is infinite. So when I say infinite, it means what one does not see another person. See, as using our physical eyes, our own chakshu, we can see. But Atma itself cannot see each other. Right? Because Atma is something which has got no eyes. So Atma cannot see. But the Atma through the Upadhis can be seen. That means the Atma is recognizable or understood through the manifesting medium. Thereby we understand the Atma is there. So that's why he says here Bhumna, just to clarify that Atma cannot talk. Right? So there's only one Atma. There are no multiple Atmas. So Rupatvad Asatvannaha Drishyadi Karmata Yatha evam vijnana karmatvam bhuno nasti iti gamyate. So this is infinite. This is what is the summary of that particular chapter. So if I just go through the key points of chapter 9. The first verse talks about sukshmata vyapite. That means the subtleness and the pervasiveness. Sukshmam means very, very subtle. And that is should be known. So that which is subtle and all pervasive nature should be known. How do you know? Is that what? It is starting from Gandhaha Adi Uttarottaram. Means in the order of subtlety. That means you have to go from the bottom. Earth is the most grossest, then one by one, then finally space. So you'll have to go from the grossest to the subtlest. And ultimately what? Pratyagatma avasaneshu means ultimately culminating in the innermost self. So finally when you arrive at this space, which is the most subtle of them, space also has to be resolved in the subtleness of the Atma. So arriving at the Pratyagatma. So Pratyagatma Vishayaha Avasaneshu Purva Purva Prahanataha means by negating. Purva Purva means by negating and negating. So that's what is said in the first verse. The second, he just gives the order. Sharira Prithvi Tavad Yavad Brahma Pramanataha. So Yavad Bahya Pramanataha. So Tavad Yavad Bahya Pramanataha. Ambavadini cha Tatvani Tavad Nyayani Krishnashaha. So all the physical bodies, Sharira, physical bodies, are Prithvi, gross aspects. And they are also external. So Bahya Pramanataha. So they are always external in size and proportion. Also he says Ambaha. Ambu means water. Correct. Amba Mahadini cha Tatvani means you should also take water also. So earth, water is giving the order there. So we have seen that one. Then it goes next to Vayavdinam, Utpatte Purvam. So Purvam Kham Sarvagam Tatha. Ahamekam Sada Sarvam Chinna Mata Sarvaga Advayaha. Sarvagam Advayaha. So there are two words there. Chinmaya Matram Sarvam Sada Sarvagam Advayaha. So there are, in this third verse, there are Aham, Ekam, Sada, Sarvam, Chinmaya Matram, Sarvam, Sarvagam, Advayam. So all the attributes or all the way Brahman is presented has to be used. Those words should be used for us to disqualify other objects. So we say Ekam means one. So bodies are many, so it cannot be Ekam, right? So Bahu. So definitely that is not the Atma. Then Sadaha says always. Always our body is not the same concept. Mind is not the same concept. It keeps changing. So it cannot be that also. So remove that also. Sarvam, that which is present in everything. So Sarvam means in all. Every mind is different, every objects are different, every body is different, every thoughts are different. So there are differences in everything. So it cannot be also that, Sada also. Sarvagam, all pervading. So body cannot pervade anything because body is Jadapur. It needs something called mind to pervade. Then only body can be pervaded. So body to body cannot be talked unless there is mind. So it's also not that possible. Advayam means non-dual. So duality is there. So use these examples, use these words to See, Nididhyasana, what people do, or what we should do, is use the words and then negate those things which is not required. So, it is only cognitive negation. Physical negation you cannot do. See, when somebody comes to your house and say that, can I come? There's no, I am Atma, you can come or no, doesn't matter. You can come or doesn't matter to me. You can come and go. So, are you hungry to eat? Said, no, Atma does not eat. You can't say like this. You have to eat. See, those are all Vyavarika discussion. So, it is okay to understand what it is, but you must not use it in Vyavarika discussion. So, Vyavarikam is different because we are all living in a transactional world. So, we need rest, we need sleep, we need food, we need water, shelter. All of them are required. The people are required, relatives, everybody is required. They are required from the standpoint of the physical body and the emotional support. But in reality, the physical support and emotional support are not the true nature of the Atma. This is what has been understood. Right? So they are required for transactional purpose, but Paramarthika Satyam is different. So Vyavaharikam, Paramarthika Satyam, two things are there. Right? So here he talks about the Paramarthika Satyam. Then in verse number 4, he talks about Brahmadya Stavarantaye Pranino Mama Pusprutaha Kama Krodadayo Dosha Jayaranme Kuto Anyataha. Means right from the Brahma, Adi, all from Brahmaji to Stavaram, that which is movable, immovable, all Praninaha, Mama Pusprutaha. Pu means the physical body. So in all the bodies of the being, Mamasprutaha are considered to be mine. I am the presence in everything. Same way, Kama, Krodha, Adi, Doshaha. So, all these Kam, Krodham, Dosham, etc., they are not part of me. They are part of the mind. See, Kamam rises in the mind, Krodham rises in the mind. Right? All Dosham also is actually in the mind only. See, if you have any defect or anything you feel papam is done, then Atma doesn't feel papam or punyam. It's only the mind which recognizes the papam and punyam. And you undergo the process of emotional imbalance. Right? That's what it says here. So, Kama, Krodha, Adi, Dosha, Jaye Ranme Kuto Anyataha. So from where do they come? They do not touch me because they come and go at the top itself. They do not come into me. I mean, the Atma does not get touched by all these aspects. So, Kuto Anyataha. Because they are not very far from me, but at the same time, they are not part of me also. So distance and distinct, two things are important. Right? So distance-wise, Kamam, Krodham is not very far from me. But it is also not my nature. I am distinct from those two. So Kama, Krodha, all Shad Ripuhu we talked about, they are very close to me. I can see them. But in reality, when I step back, a Sakshi witness, these things are not part of me. They are related to the physical body, the upadhis which are there. So this is what is to be reiterated, understood very clearly again and again. See, habitual error is what means. We are studying Shastram. We are fairly idea, we understood what it is. But when you go to the transactional world, we forget this. When it doesn't get registered, because same anger comes. See, it is not only for you. Sometimes it also happens to me also. The anger means like, anger is common because even though you don't want to get angry, there are situations which will provoke you. You will come very, very close to just, about to say something. It's like simmering things, slowly boil and there. So, if Shastram, but class, no work is being done at home, always in class. I am working all the day and nobody is doing any work for me. If somebody can see, this is also another way. If somebody can do this a little better, I mean, what there's somebody in one, there's only 2 people, 3 people in the house. See, you have to do it. The question is now you have to decide what you want to do. Whether the job can wait or whether you can respond by doing that and you can postpone all these things. So it depends on the priority, right? So for you, that is not a priority, right? For the other person, that's a priority because for them, that is what is important. But for a Vedanti, a person studying Shastram, other things are not important. I mean, they are important. They will be given, priority or given importance when the job is finished. Nadula vandu, you just don't do things. Right? So that is what is Nidhyasanam. You try to do your activities, you channel activities as a primary thing. Then the Shastram comes first. Or your Shravanam comes first, Maranam comes first, Nidhyasanam comes first. Later on, other activities can be accommodated. Say going to cricket match or going to, watching TV or watching sports. They are all can be done. See, Shastram does not say that, oh, you are a Vedanti, you must not go to cricket match. You must not do this, you must not do this, you must not do no. Because once you attain Brahma Jnanam, understood, you can be in the match also, you can still be thinking about a lot of things. You do not need to. Because you are at peace. Right? So that is what is important. So understanding the priorities, prioritizing it is very important. This is the sadhaka. So the sadhaka has to be practicing this particular philosophy. That's what he's saying here. Then it says, Bhuta doshaihi sada sprushtam sarva bhutas tamishwaram anishwaram Neelam Vyoma Yatha Bhalo Drishtam Ma Vikshate Janaha. So the people look upon me as affected. This is the view. People look upon me means Atma is saying that people look upon the Atma as being affected by the defects of the Jivas. Right? So Bhuta Doshaihi means what? The defects of the elements of the Jivas. Like a child, Balaha. See, children, they make mistakes and we forgive them. So Balaha means they are not immature people or deluded people called Balaha. There is Neelam Vyoma Yatha Drishtam Ma Vikshate Janaha. So the people mistakenly or erroneously think about me as the one which is affected by the doshas, but it is because of their childish nature. They are not mature people. So Sarva Bhutastam Ishwaram. So in reality, I am the person residing in all of them. So Sarva Bhutastam Ishwaram. So with that, we have concluded that there is nothing important there. Okay. So now we'll just give you a brief introduction to chapter 10 today. And we will start chapter 10 today and then we'll see how we go with that. See, this chapter 10 is called Drishiswarupa Paramartha Darshana Prakaranam. Drishiswarupa Paramartha Darshana Prakaranam. So it means, see, a sadhaka or a person who is practicing always has a constant challenge in his sadhana. What is the sadhana? He has actually learned all those things. He has learned the practice chanting. He has learned the meaning of the mantras. The Upanishad has been understood by him. The Vedanta Tattvam has been understood by him. All of them are understood. But still there is a problem. He suffers a mental or physical pain or something to be, somewhere there's a gap. Somewhere the person actually loses the plot or somewhere he thinks that I'm not there yet in terms of understanding it. I think understand what it is, but I don't know whether I really understand fully or not. Right? So this is the doubt of a sadhaka, which comes to every person. Every person who's studying Shastram, there comes a time when this knowledge is actually not fully assimilated, or it's assimilated but not yet clear in terms of taking ownership. So this is what it says here, Drishya Paramartha Darshana Prakarana. So what he says here, the person accepts the knowledge, but he thinks, or he or she thinks, that it has not made any difference to the person personally. Like, see, Shastramna padichirukkom, ella padichirukkom, but it is not made any big difference. Like, they expect some miracle to happen, something should change. That is, outwardly something should happen, or people should know about a person in different manner. Something is there. So there is some expectation from the sadhaka that I have been learning this for so many years, something like this, but it seems to be not working for me. Is it clear? This doubt is coming to most of us, right? It's coming. Somebody will ask you, Shastram Padikal, or they have been. Still, nothing is. What have you studied out here? See, what have you studied when so many years you've been studying this? Still, you are still getting angry. Still, you are interested. Still, you are, doing all these things, not doing any work at home. Whenever you say you are reading something, these are practical problems. See, I'm telling you because I've gone through this before, many times. Now it doesn't affect me because people have got used to me in this manner, or I don't bother them. So they leave me alone. So initially, when you start this, right, you want to react to them immediately. What are you saying about it? See, this is my sadhaka. I'm actually doing all performance. I'm doing all these things, and it is required for me. Moksham, I need all these things. Other person will say, what's the point of having moksham when you cannot do anything for me? Correct the point. Correct point. People are all suffering here, and you are pursuing moksha for what? See, this is a difficulty because this is what is called here. This particular author is saying that Shastram understands this problem. Shastram knows that for every sadhaka, this is a problem one has to go through, right? Because he continues to be thinking as a Bhokta and not a Chaitanyam 100%. He still thinks that like he's still connected, and it is difficult to shrug off everything. If tomorrow I tell you that you have studied Shastram, say you studied Tanopanishad and Brahma Sutram, etc., then you'll ask what next, correct? Or you will say what next. The question is what next is your maturity or depend on what you want to do. Right? Either you can say that I want to pursue this jnanam 100% of the time, in which case it means what you have to leave everything, other things. It means your work, etc., your commitment, etc., social commitments, and whatever, everything you have to cut down so that you enter into the line full time, teaching, or if you're doing correction or whatever you're doing there, you'll have to get into the line 100% of the time. And at the same time, you also have to being a grahastha. You have to think about how I'm going to devote my time for other things also. So balancing is a problem, especially in a family. You got the commitments are there, which you cannot ignore. Going to shops, purchasing things, vegetables, groceries, milk, etc., ironing things. So many things are there. Hundreds of activities are there, which can be even washing dishes, preparing food. The other day, she was asking me. Nowadays, you're not helping me at all. Suddenly, he just asked. I said, why? He said, in the morning, morning at 7 o'clock, I come and do all the dishes, whatever is there. Morning, I clean and go. After that, what? After that, I go to the office. I come back at 3:30. For 7:30, I go to the office. I come back at 3 o'clock, 3:30. And I go and pick up my son Anuj I prepare food for him. I feed him. After 6 o'clock, his class is there. See, now you're not preparing any food at all. Now I am working from home, so nobody is preparing. I told him, what do you want me to do? So I'll do. So, see, everybody has got the expectation. So, juggling is a problem. Right? So balancing the activities, this every sadhaka has got. Everybody goes through this. Because we are not cut over from Grahastha Sannyasa Ashrama. So whenever you don't have the cutover, this balance will come all the time. So sometimes we'll keep pushing. If I spend too much time on Brahmajnanam, then this problem will come. If I spend too much time on other things, then this will get pushed out. So where is the balance? Right? But somehow this has to be married. Somehow this has to pursue. And in this, analysis of working, doing things, sometimes sadhaka forgets. The person who's practicing this, he forgets and he starts to feel that this is not actually working for me at all. Actually, it is working for him. It is working, but he or she cannot actually quantify it because it is not something, it's not going to change your life 100%. It's just going to bring in your mind. Physically, you're not going to do, still same thing will happen because you're talking to people, still same things are going to come to you. But handling of the things, I mean, previously, before studying Shastram, 10 years ago or whatever you studied, you used to be very, bitty and, quick snap out. All that you will not be able to even control. Is it right? You can't even withstand. Then immediately you want to say something. But now what do? It has sort of mellowed down. So there is something change happening there. Something is slowing down the process of thinking, reacting, and having the ability to listen and take the pain also. This is what is also important. It is also a quality which is sadhaka should do. That is why it says here that we are not able to claim this knowledge as our own because we have the viparita bhavana. So viparita bhavana means what? We think that we are ashuddha, we are impure, or something is not correct in us. So maybe there is something else required to be done. Some purity, something other to be done. So actually when Brahmajnanam is achieved, there is nothing more to be purified because Jnanam is 100% clean. It's only when you have a feeling that Jnanam is actually not clear or it is subject to some defects, then you feel these bad things. You have this feeling sometimes that I'm letting things down, it is not working for me. To remove the viparita bhavanas, the Shastram tells us to be with the teaching consistently, systematically. He says this will happen. So the teaching will take effect. Like Ayurveda medicine, right? It will take time. It won't give you effect immediately. If you go to the allopathy doctor, he will give you medicine, immediately it will give. But it has got side effects. The Ayurvedic medicine, if you do, or the homemade medicine, it will take a long time. But once it gets registered into this one, it will heal. Long-term solution. So Vedanta also is a long-term solution, not a short-term solution. It's not a fast food thing where you can just come and 3 years I want to know Brahmajnana. No. You may get it in 3 years' time. It's not that you won't get it. But traditionally, the longer you stay with the Shastram, the more resolute you become and the more firm the knowledge becomes. So Nididhyasanam is a lifetime exercise. So Nididhyas, Shravanam and Maranam is something which you do over a period of time. And Nididhyasanam is something which you have to be with it all the time. That means you cannot complete saying that now I finished or done that Upanishad course. Now I'm going to take a break from everything and I'm going back to my old, no. You cannot go back to old things. What we should do is we should now engage in activities which are relevant to support Nididhyasana, like teaching, or supporting something else. All those things are important. So teaching is the best exercise because why teachers are there? Because Nididhyasanam actually reinforces the topics again because you are forced to learn again or teach the same topics again and again to new students or existing students. So number one is you are giving away knowledge which you have learned as part of the parampara to somebody else to become a teacher. The second thing is you yourself are benefiting from the knowledge because otherwise the knowledge may be forgotten or it may not be very clear to you. So by repeatedly, just like the gold is getting polished. See, the more you polish the gold, it is going to give you shine. If we just give you one coat, it's not going to give you shine. So, தங்கம் வருஷம் வருஷம் தான் உங்களுக்கு ஷைன் வரும். அதே மாதிரி knowledge வந்து just to keep going in your blood. So all the verses are actually for Nididhyasana only. There is nothing new being taught here. So there's nothing new being taught here. It is only reinforcement of the same knowledge, but with some references to some other topics we learned before. So you'll have to now remember what has been taught before. Dibdishiveka, Mundakopanishad, Hastamalakam, all the things you have to remember. Tattabodham. So, because Jason, you want to say something?
Yeah. Now we are only in 10. This Upadeshasri is probably another 100 or 500 verses, something.
Okay.
Are they saying the same thing?
No, this first 10 is
progression of thought or logic, something in this.
See, this first 10 chapters is one set of discussion where it helps the sadhaka to Nididhyasana is there. The next 10 we talk about different topics of it. So basically the topics are given for the sadhaka to go crisscross and revalidate. So see Upadesh Shastri is what is Upanishad text only. He quotes from all Mundaka Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, Dibdishiveka, Bhagavad Gita, which we have learned it, but we don't remember all of them because we do not remember those verses now. We do not remember what was taught there before. Samadhi, if you do not know, right? So Savikalpa Samadhi, Nirvika Samadhi, Shabda, Samadhi, right? Drishya, Savikalpa Samadhi, all these are talked about in Drishyaveka. So those things are actually reinforced, or all topics which are there, they are reinforced again and again to make sure that we understand it and we do not forget those kind of things. So the message is
up to 9. I just my feeling that I'm not. I feel there's a lot of repetition of the whole Vedantic thought. Even from chapter 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, very little expansion or new information.
Because see, that's what I'm telling you. See, what I tell you. See, the sadhaka is expecting new things to find out. These new things are not there because Atma Jnanam, when you achieve Atma Jnanam, right, the things will not be new. It will only be a reinforcement of what you've learned before already.
But why should he write so many verses?
Well, that's because, see, if you look at even the Bhagavad Gita, also repetition is there. Upanishad, a lot of repetition is there. Repetition is the only way the text is taught because the topic itself is very subtle. It is not easy to understand. We forget easily. So the repetition is mentioned here again and again for reinforcement of knowledge. Nididhyasana is only when this particular text is Nididhyasana, not for Shravanam. Shravanam is important, yes, but majority of the things are Nididhyasana. So you would have already heard about this before. So it may not be something new you are going to expect. Right? So if you are thinking there will be something new being taught or new, there will be topics will be new. There will be some other topics will be new topics. But it will be again a reinforcement of the same old topics with a new version or new, explanation or examples or to make it more clear. That's what will happen. It is a way. It is the if you look at all the Upanishads, the Tattvam is only one. There is no Atma, I am Atma Brahma, Tattvamasi, Vijnanam Brahma. This is all the Mahavakyams. But the elaboration of each of them is given in 10 different bhashyams of there. So why study? Because each of them has got different connotation and there are explanations which are make it even more clearer. That's what it is. That's why I don't teach this particular topic to young people because you people are already there for some time. So you've been studying for more than 5 years. Some of them are here more than 4 years now. So you already know quite a few things and you have learned from other teachers also before. So it is easy for you to understand. If I tell a new person who's coming to the class, he will struggle to understand what it is. He may understand what it is, but it will not register anything in his mind. So you'll have to remember what has been taught before. Right? That's what it is. So again, the first one also. We look at the first verse, and we will Drishiswarupam gaganopamam param. Drishiswarupam gaganopamam param. Sakut vibhatam tvajameksharam. Sakut vibhatam tvajamekamaksharam. Drishiswarupam gaganopamam karam param. Sakut vibhatam tvajamekamaksharam. Alepakam sarvagatam yadadvayam. Alepakam sarvagatam yadadvayam. Tadeva chaham satatam vimukta om. Alepakam sarvagatam yadadvayam. Tadeva chaham satatam vimukta om. So Drishiswarupam. So, as I told you, the chapter is called Drishiswarupam, or the nature of the seer. So, you'll have to again go back to Drishyaveka, seer, seen, relationship. Right? The first seer, second seer, and the final seer. Third seer, three seers are there. So, Drishiswarupam means Drik, Drishi means seer, the ultimate seer. So, the reality of the seer is just as Yad Gagana Upamam. So Upama means just like that. Example, Upama. So Gaganam means space. So space is the most subtlest of this. Space is untouched by anything. Space pervades everything. It does not get tainted by anything. It cannot be cut. It cannot be divided. It is Ekam. Right? It is Aksharaha. It cannot be also destroyed. Space cannot be destroyed. So all these things is taking space example here. So Drishiswarupam Gaganom Upamam Param. So Param means when all, above everything. Param Sakriti Vibhatam. So Param Sakrit Vibhatam means they shine only once, continuously. So shine only continuously. And this is of the nature of indeed to Ajam Ekam Aksharam. Ajam means what? That is unborn. So Atma or this particular thing is unborn. Ekam is one. And Aksharam, that which is cannot be subject to change or imperishable, you can say. Then Alepakam means untainted or unaffected. Sarvagatam, all pervasive. Tat eva, that alone, aham, I am that person, always at all times. Satatam, vimuktam, ever free, and I am Om. So here the word Om is added. So Om is added here to symbolize the Akara, Ukara, Makaraha, the three states of experience. So in all the three states of experience, I am not the three states. So when we say what we talk about, I know what is Om. What is Om? Akara, Ukara, Makara. And I am present in all the I am the Brahman. But what it says here is, I am neither of the three states of experience. I am neither the waking state, nor the waking state, nor the dream state, but I am the witness of all the three states of experience. So you cannot say that Brahman is waking state, Brahman is dream state, Brahman is deep sleep state. It is that by which all the three states are known. So it is, even though it is part of all the three, Yet it is distinct from all the three. This is what it says here. That vimuktaha satatam aham. So we look at the word, each and every word. Drashta. So the first word is drashta, means the illuminator. Drishi Swarupam means what? Drashta, the illuminator, can never become Drishyam. So the knower can never become the object of knowledge. Because knower has to be always be the knower. And only it can be, an object should be outside or something should be known, correct? Knower itself cannot be known. So it cannot become the object of knowledge. So he is given some words, Param, which is supreme above all. Satkrit Vibhatam. So it means what? I am ever shining and always shining. So I'm not like the Ahankara which just comes and goes. See, Ahankara also comes and goes, correct? But I am present in all states of experience. That's what it says here. Then I am Ajaha. I am Ajam means I am unborn. Ekam, I am one, without a second. So Atma is only one, but it appears as many because of this association with thoughts. See, the thoughts itself are many. The thoughts itself is being recognized as the Atma because of its association with the thoughts. But Atma being alone, it is not affected by the thoughts. So it's called Ekam. Aksharam, which is imperishable, I've never destroyed. Alepakam. So Alepakam means it is not tainted by anything or unaffected by anything. And Vimuktaha, so I am always free. Vimukta means what? Mukta means free. I am ever free. Vimuktaha. So he gives example of the same, in the Bhagavad Gita we have, in chapter 5, verse number 10. In Dritya Shiveka, we have a verse. No deti nastamyam. I think, what is the name? Just see. I'll tell you what verse it is. In chapter 1, first one. So there it tells about, see, no deti nastam ityesha na buddhim yati na kshayam swayam vivati anyani vasete sadhanam vina. So it is in chapter 1, verse number 5. So na udheti means the sun, or I never rise. So there's no question of my knowledge rising, because knowledge is always there. Knowledge is rising, and not knowledge is astamyam. See, na udeti astamyam, na vriddhim. So there is no question of knowledge rising or knowledge falling or reducing, nor increasing, na vriddhim, na kshayam. So neither is increasing nor decreasing, nor it is getting destroyed. Because what? Swayam vivati anyani vasete sadhanam vina. So this knowledge is independent of everything else. This knowledge is the one which reveals everything, and because of that, it reveals without getting known. So it is in nature. So the sun also is example given here. The sun does not rise. Vedanti should never think the sunrise is there. Sunset is there. Because sun never rises, sun never sets. Sun always is there. Because in the wake of the sun only the moon is seen. The moon, the stars, everything is seen because the sunlight is there. There's nothing called moonlight or starlight or some other light. So this is something which when we talk about it, we say there's no sunlight. We talk like this. See, transactionally we talk about it. See, Surya kadayadu. We talk like this. It is Vyavarika discussion. When you can talk to them saying that, see, Surya varala. I mean, it's very dark day. You say like this. Or extremely hot today, extremely cold today, you say like this. It is acceptable to talk like this. But at the end of the talk, we also have to understand that in reality, the sun is always there. It never sets, it never rises, it never reduces, it never increases, it never dies. So kshayam, so ksharaha. Swayam vivati anyani bhasete sadhanam vina. That means for illumination, it does not require any sadhanam or any means. It doesn't require any ingredients for it to shine. Because nature of Atma is to illuminate. Nature of consciousness is to illuminate. That's what it says here. So all these words are to be used by the Vedanti for analyzing what is not that. So Sakrut Vibhatam means Sakrut Vibhatam Ajam Ekam. So Ajam means what? Unborn. I do not have birth. So question is, what is born? What is born? So every time when you go through any objective analysis, in transactional view also, you have to dismiss saying that, oh, this is not permanent. So it is not the truth. So cognitively only you can say. You cannot talk to the person and tell him that, oh, you are not a truth. If you go and tell somebody, oh, it is not a truth, he will say that, then what is the truth? You are also not the truth. You will say like this. It is only to be analyzed. Only mentally you have to just have to register and you have to be with that thought. That's all it is. It can never be discussed. It can never be argued. It can never be, moved. Vedantis never go and discuss anything. This is something I'm telling you. You must not go and talk to anybody outside of your circle or within the circle here. Somebody who doesn't know anything about Vedanta, you go and talk to him. See, today I learned about Atma. The Atma Shastram seems like this. Oh, then you'll end up in unnecessary trouble because you will try to convince somebody who doesn't understand anything. Why do you want to convince somebody when it is not your job? It is not. See, Atma Jnana is for one's own self. It is not for discussion. It is not for proving to another person that I know something. See, as a teacher, we discuss. As a student, we are not discussing because knowledge is going from one person to another person. After you understood what it is, then you just be yourself. You do not need to do anything more than that. That's what it says here, na vriddhim na kshayam. That means neither it increases because you talk more about it, nor it decreases because you don't talk about it. Because knowledge is registered, it is already completed now. It is only now always there. Whenever you want, you can just open and then you can be with that. This is called Nididhyastam. That is why Nididhyastam does not require time. You can be in any place. You can be in the beach. You can be in the temple. You can be in the cricket match. You can be anywhere. The TV room also will be there. People will be talking TV. You will be alone there. It will not affect you because you can meditate wherever you want because meditation is action. You are not doing an action here. Because your knowledge is Swayambhu. It just rises automatically. You do not need to do any great effort to do that. That is what he is saying to say that this is the common mistake, the common problem which a person has got when learning Shastra. Because even though he has understood the meaning of everything, still when the time comes, it is not registering properly. He forgets. So the repetition is said here maybe for the remembrance so that you keep remembering again and again and again and again. This is what it is. See, just like in chanting also, if you chant once, you think, I can teach chanting 2 times, somebody can learn it. After some time, after 1 month, if I come and ask them, see, on the December I completed so many things, right? Come January and ask them to come back again. I ask them to chant Durga Suktam, they will struggle because they forgot. They are not practiced. Or any Rudram also, they are not practiced, they forget it. Because unless you are part of the process, unless you are doing regularly, systematically, you will forget it. You will not be able to know. That is why Nididhyastam is actually reiteration of the same topics again and again, using different words, different methods. That's all it is. So nothing new is being taught. See, if you after attending Brahmagyanam, like in the Kenopanishad, Jaishankar, I told you, after the whole thing is taught, the student is saying, "Can you teach me Upanishad again?" Because he's expecting that something else has to happen to him. So that is same thing is talked about here. So you have to correlate that. Oh, there the student is asking that something else is to be happening after I learned Brahmagyan. Nothing is happening to me. I'm not changed. I'm still the same person. But in reality, you do not change, because what has happened is only knowledge has now been accepted by you. It was not there before. It was there before, but you didn't know it. And now it is accepted by you, and now you are at peace with what you got there. So it is not going to change your Vyavaharika dealings. It is not going to change anything. See, Vyavaharikam will still be there. But in dealing with Vyavaharikam, you will know how to deal with it better. So you will know when to talk, how much to talk, what to do, what not to do, correct? When to stay away. All these things are required by the sadhaka, because whatever action we do, it is going to affect us mentally, and that mental exercise which is going will affect our studies. Is this correct? So because that is the way this works. So we are dealing with all transactional people, reality people, emotional people, physical people, duties, attachments, everything is up there. In between, the Shastram also comes and tells you that you are Atma, you are consciousness, you are that, you are that, you are this. And then when you go and do this, you have a doubt that, see, I am the Atma, why should I do all these things? You have a doubt. No, you must do the job. You must do what is required to be done there, but silently without protesting. See, in the morning also, it's a very, very beautiful example. Sometimes in the morning time, they have a habit of saying, suddenly why you are doing all these things? So you can say that, do you want to do it or not? So Swami say, either you can do this, or you don't want to do this, or you can do it some other way. Kartum va, akartum va, anyatha kartum shakyam. That means you can do the same action by doing this, or not doing that, or doing something else in a different manner. So you can choose to say that, whatever you want to do, you do to the best of your ability, and you do with a clean heart, and do not hold anything against anybody. Right? Any action you do. So this is how one purifies mentally, because mentally one purifies, one stays with the text, with the Shastra being taught without getting affected. See, Shastra will get registered only when our mental stability is very clear. The moment we start wavering here and there, Nidhyastam will not help you. It will again go back to again doubt. That's why this author is saying here that this is very common for every sadhaka who is actually stepping into this new found knowledge, where he has gained the Brahmagyanam, and the Brahmagyanam is not working for him or her. There's a doubt that it is not actually, I'm not getting anything out of this. So he says that, really speaking, you're not going to get anything out of it, because you are trying to find something workable, like you're trying to apply that knowledge to do something. But Brahmagyanam is something, he says, an object of knowledge. It cannot change anything for you. It can only give you perspective of the same thing in a different manner. It will help you to understand things better, deal with it better, and make you a better person. That's what it can do. It's all mind again content, right? So Shastram, that's what people study, because they lean on this Shastram because it gives them the comfort, the tools to handle better. And the mind also gets slowly prepared. It slows down from hundreds of kilometers speed. It will probably get to maybe 10 kilometers speed. Nothing will happen. You can say, people will say to you, you will not react. You will be, very passive. So this will happen to you. But that is what we want. The Nidhyastam person has to have this mental stability to continue. That is what it says here. We will go through this in the next class as well. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम तत्सत् श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम नमस्ते Shubhratri to all of you. See, tomorrow we may not have the Bhagavad Gita class. We're going to start chapter number 16. Is it correct, Suresh? Chapter 16. So I'll start the chapter from the week after. Because tomorrow, I think by the time I come back, it will be late. I don't know what time I'll come back. So it might be late because it's a hot day tomorrow. So Hari Om, I'll see you next week.
Pranam.